Welcome to the March 26, 2018 meeting of the Green Bay Plan Commission. If you wish to speak and haven't already signed in, you may do so. There are slips on the table by the door. Just fill one of those out and return it to me. Thank you. And if you do get called to speak, I ask that you go to the podium, state your name and address for the record, and say your piece. Thank you. What is your pleasure regarding the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes?
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Communications, none. Old business, none. New business, item 1. Consideration with possible action on a request to amend a previously approved plan unit development to modify the existing permitted uses from engineering, architectural, and surveying services to general office uses at 123 North Oakland Street, submitted by Power for Change LLC.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As you mentioned, this is a request to amend a previously issued plan development. Plan development is about 27 years old. It was adopted in 1991. It was for the reuse of the Fisk House, also known as Kellogg Public Library, on the corner of Oakland and Shawano Avenue. The building itself was constructed in the 1860s. It's a 2-story Cream City brick Italianate style building. It became a public library in the 20s. In the early 90s, it was converted to an office. So a group came in, wanted to convert it to an office. The planned unit development was specifically drafted for only their exact use. At that time, they used to use SIC codes. So it was an engineering, surveying, and architectural office only. So they went in there, they operated in it for quite a while. The site itself, again, the building's about 4,000 square feet, it's 2 stories. There's about a 10-stall parking lot off Shawano Avenue. And there is a small garden, used to be a Shakespearean garden. The building itself is on the State and National Register of Historic Places, individually listed for its architecture. And it's also a contributing structure in the Oakland Dousman Historic District. Power for Change LLC desires to relocate their offices into this building, administrative offices. They are a state licensed outpatient and in-home counseling agency. So they provide services to families, couples, military, individuals. But about 85 to 90% of their services are conducted in home, off-site. There's a small amount of outpatient counseling that may take place at the office. However, it would be very minimal, mainly administration. Their hours of operation would be from 8 to 6 p.m. They don't propose any exterior alterations to the building. Well, let me kind of go to the picture here. So on the bottom, you see the pictures of the building, and then sort of an aerial view. They don't plan any alterations except for possibly an ADA ramp on the south side of the property. And they are planning to redo the formal Shakespeare garden, which is on the south side of the property, the southwest corner. Staff is in support of the planned unit development amendment. General office use is definitely comparable to an architectural office or a surveying office. We typically wouldn't write a plan development being that specific anymore. Additionally, the plan development, which hasn't changed from the original, and you have both copies in your packet, except for the uses, has quite a bit of protection for the historic preservation of the property itself. It has some development standards as far as setbacks go, has some sign limitations, and staff has a very good comfort level that the petitioners won't have a negative effect on the neighborhood, a negative effect on the property itself, or the historic district either. The use for general office is consistent with the neighborhood. It's kind of a mix in that area. There's a restaurant, there's some multifamily, some singles, and some twos. So we find that's consistent with the neighborhood. It is consistent with the comprehensive plan, which recommends commercial uses for the site. Alderman Zima, the Fort Howard Neighborhood Association, and owners within 200 feet were all notified of the request. We received one call for information. The petitioners met with the Fort Howard Neighborhood Association board in the beginning of March. The board was supportive of their application and had submitted a letter to that effect. So with that, we are recommending approval of the PUD amendment, subject to the draft PUD that's in here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do have one question, Dave. The petitioner was good enough to note their willingness to work under the guidance of any committee that might be appropriate. Clearly, the historical commission would be such a committee. I was curious as to why you did not include in the new PUD preliminary consultation with the historic preservation. I'm looking now at points C1 and 2, and C1 is basically, we would refer things to historic preservation if it didn't go well, and point 2 talks about permit to demolish coming only after recommendation from historic preservation. But I'm curious as to why not include in consultation with the City Historic Preservation Committee at the end of the first sentence, during any construction, renovation, or restoration activity, every effort shall be made to retain historical integrity of the Joel S. Fisk House, in consultation with the City Historic Preservation, so that it comes right at the front end.
Sure, that could be added. We do have in here that they have to meet the U.S. Secretary of Interior standards, which is basically what the Historic Preservation Commission is going to base any changes to. I guess the thought and there wasn't a lot of thought, this was the language really from the original plan development, was they're not actually proposing to do any changes. And so if it was a restoration work, let's say they were doing some tuck pointing in the brick or something minor like that, we wouldn't want to have to drag them through the HPC for something like that. But if it was deemed that it's changing the character of the building itself, then obviously the Plan Commission would judge it, but we threw that the HPC would make a recommendation as well,
So
which they would have to do anyway.
Right, given the current proposals, then it's simply unnecessary.
Correct.
Okay. Would this PUD, though, go forward for any future proposals?
Anybody who wanted to use a general office use in the building would follow the same plan development.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion? Alderman Steuer.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Should I talk just here? Sid, I appreciate you bringing that up. I do chair the Historic Preservation Commission, so I'm glad you brought that up. I mean, this property's been vacant for quite some time now. Back in the early 90s, when Wisconsin Equipment Supply came in, we went through the whole process of getting an overlay zone, if you will. And we're all about adaptive reuse, if you can do it. I love it. Don't worry. I have 2 kids. Adaptive reuse is important. So I think the fact that we have this opportunity, I'm embracing it. But we will be cautious and take a look and make sure that things are done correctly. And like David did mention, he said that it wasn't really, they're not doing a whole lot of renovation or restoration, if you will. They're more or less changing the use. But my feeling is that it's been vacant for 5-6 years, so there's going to have to be something done. Probably more interior, I think, but I don't know what the condition of the building is. It seems to be okay. It was built in 1865, so just wear and tear. We need to be cautious and make sure that they do it correctly. So I just wanted to thank you for that.
And we did not remember to open the floor.
You haven't gotten that far.
Okay.
Thank you. Alderman.
Yes, well, thanks. There is one neighbor who is here today that would like to address the board. I can say that when folks approached, I was initially happy that they had such a desire to really restore the building and put it in tip-top shape. And I thought having a long-term tenant that probably will be there for a long time is something, or owner I should say, was a positive thing. And they seem to be very interested in preserving the architecture of the place. I was told that the owner has fallen in love with the property and the rest of the staff, that the administrative staff is excited about doing all they can for the project. The neighbors that I've talked to and I've had contact with did not display any negativity toward me about it. I had some fear that, you know, we don't want the building to fall into disrepair. The longer a building sits without any use, the less desirable it becomes for somebody to invest money to fix it. As you know, maintenance is always an ongoing affair with everyone's property. Or have it fall into if it stays empty too long, it's been a long time already, you know, that we accept a less desirable tenant. I think this, in my opinion, it is not going to negatively impact the neighborhood. The parking that is there right now is, of course, wasn't there when the library used it. So I think the parking is adequate for what the folks are using. Now, of course, I don't believe they're giving a big lie to me about anything. I assume what you're saying is true, that the majority of their counseling work is outside of the property. This is more than an administrative place, plus there are some people that do come in for counseling. But I see it as a positive impact to the neighborhood. I'd love to see it. I think they're going to restore it better than it's been restored. But Patty Olson is here. She's the closest neighbor, and I think she'd like to express a concern or two and have a question or two. So, Patty, you want to come up?
We have to open the floor first.
Move to suspend the rules here.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, I'll try to make this quick. I live right next door, oh, I'm sorry. My name is Patricia Burry Olson. I live at 137 North Oakland Avenue, which is directly adjacent to 123. And I did call the owner, Steve, and I'm blanking on his last name, and we did have a short conversation about the project. I did try to look up some information on Power for Change through the State Department of, I'm sorry, I'm making the baby upset.
No, it's not you, it's her. Sorry.
The Department of Professional Licensing, through which Power for Change is licensed, and I wasn't able to make any connections with them, but that's not on Power for Change. I'm not dissing them for that. But, and I know the building has been vacant for some time, at least 3 to 5 years at least. I guess my only concerns, really, my priority is to not have any changes or demolishment or any sort of changes rather than the ramp that might be needed for, obviously, for access to the building. I can understand that. But I would really not want to see any sort of changes to the exterior of the building. Also wanted to make sure that this would not allow for any like overnight usage in the building for any clients. We don't want to see it turned into some sort of halfway house or anything like that. And with regard to the garden, I think that would be great if Power for Change could change that weed patch back into the Shakespeare garden. That would be wonderful. I wonder if they would use that, you know, as some sort of therapy for maybe their clients, or maybe they could work with the Green Bay Botanical Gardens. Let's see. I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
And are we allowed to respond then directly as Power for Change?
Everybody gets to talk. All you have to do is come up.
Raise your hand.
If you'd like.
Okay, all right. I'll just. I'm with Power for Change. I'm the Assistant Clinical Director, and Steve Shevchuk is the owner of the business. And Patty, I'm glad that you asked the questions you did. We are absolutely, to the exterior, we're thinking tuck pointing, some painting and things like that, you know, to what exists for the wood to make sure that that maintains the integrity. And then also the Shakespeare Gardens. Steve's mom is very into gardening and is thinking about how we could redo that. We've already gotten pictures of it. There'll be no overnights of any sort because, you know, most of what's going to happen there is administrative. Currently, we rent 7 offices over at 1039 West Mason, and the building does not compare to this building. We're really excited about it. We'll actually have windows for the first time in a long time, lots of windows, so we're excited about that. But it would not be any overnight. There is some outpatient counseling that goes on there. But like I said, 85 to 90% of our revenue comes from intensive in-home counseling, which takes place in clients' homes for children suffering from severe emotional disturbance. So we go there, we work with the families, we work with the kiddos, and we work with the parents on parenting skills. So we also have an office in Milwaukee that does the same thing. We started this up, Steve, 4 years ago, the in-home program.
Yep, maybe 2010 or 14.
Yeah, we may also, you know, have some a meditation group that meets there once in a while. So at some point, we'd like to do some outpatient groups, but we don't have any, you know, anything on the books for sure at this point. The ramp to the exterior, obviously, there needs to be tuck pointing, like I said, you know, some exterior things. On the inside, we would be doing a few things because we need to have offices. So on that first floor, but what we're going to try to do is we talked to the inspector about this, was to put pieces in that can be removed. So instead of having, you know, a wall built in and just completely covered over, having it inserted into the woodwork that's already there. So either bookcases to separate rooms or something like that, so that at some point, if somebody wanted to turn this back when we weren't there anymore, turn it back into a home or whatever they wanted to turn into, that they could do that easily and without a lot of, you know, integrity loss to the building. I'd love to take down some of the flowered wallpaper though. But that's just so, did that answer any of your questions?
Yes, it did, thank you.
Okay, you bet, absolutely.
Thank you. Any questions? Steve, did you wish to speak?
I don't know if that would need to be put into the stipulation, not that it wouldn't be used for overnight
I think
housing of anyone. I know that's not the intent. The reason I'm concerned about it is that there were people looking at it to turn it into a kind of a low-income shelter for.
Oh, and if you want to put that somewhere in there, we don't have any problem with that.
So I think that put that in there, that just for safety. I don't think they have any intention of doing anything like that, but I think that would be a positive for the neighborhood. I think, I know, you know, I've gone by that my entire life, really, since I was about 7 years old. I moved into the library, and of course, it being vacant for probably half of the last 30 years or more has always been a sad note. And these folks that really seem interested in preservation of what's there and renewal of the garden. I can remember the garden so succinctly when I was just in high school, and it was always something to look at. It's got a bronze plaque there of Shakespeare and an old wall of wax. And of course, it was owned by the Fisk family that, you know, were the big lumber barons of Brown County here, and donated a lot, including Fisk Park. They kept the bars off of west of Broadway for a long, long time too because of it. But that was one of the family houses, and that people are going to come and make a good use out of it and pay attention to the historic nature of it. And they seem, at least from the conversation, is that they really want to, you know, respect the integrity of the building and just use it in a positive way. So I certainly urge you to support it.
Thank you.
Motion to close the floor?
Was it?
Motion to close the floor?
Do we have other speakers?
No.
Okay. Second?
We have a motion and a second to close. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any further discussion?
Well, it seems to me that based on the permitted use of this PUD, that overnights would be precluded anyways. So it seems redundant to incorporate an additional statement specifically precluding overnights. Am I wrong in that interpretation?
It would be a redundancy. General office use would not allow it to do
Yeah.
Yes.
This is about 4 blocks from my house, and I pass it all the time, and I'm really excited that something's gonna be happening with it. I'm kinda sad I didn't win the lottery, so I could buy it, it could be my house, but, you know, for the last 6 years, I've been walking past that property, driving past that property on a daily basis, and I'm excited that it's gonna get some use, so, I guess I'd like to make a motion to approve,
The recommendation.
yes, as recommended, yes.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Commissioner?
If you would be willing to accept as a friendly amendment, the addition of, in consultation with the City Historic Preservation Committee
Oh.
after that first statement under point C.
Yeah,
I would be
absolutely.
happy- Then I would be happy to second it. With a lot of thanks to you all for bringing that idea forward.
We're excited. So we could have the Fort Howard Neighborhood Association picnic there. The big yard. It's fun.
We have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion approved. Item 2, consideration with possible action on the request to rezone 5 properties located at 1335 to 1365 East Mason Street from the low-density residential district to the highway commercial district, submitted by Dan Rorty, Division 4, on behalf of Dan Gobin, Gobin Cars.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This one should be very familiar to you. This is a request to rezone 5 residential properties. You can kind of see a mid-block of the 1300 block north side of East Mason Street to the highway commercial district to allow consolidation and redevelopment of the 5 properties along with the corner property into a automobile sales display lot. So the existing zoning, you can see it, they're zoned R1. They consist of primarily single and 2 families. In that stretch, they're often referred to as the blue houses, I believe. The zoning to the north, single-family residential, you have some very density to the south across Mason. And then you have highway commercial directly adjacent to the east and general commercial to the west. Comprehensive plan recommends commercial for these 5 lots. That was just changed in February from the medium intensity retail office and housing designation to the general commercial, again, through this body and through the council. So the request to rezone to the highway commercial district is consistent with the comp plan now, which the rezoning is the second step in the process of doing the display lot. So you can see here, there's just a couple shots of the block, look at the north and the bottom, and sort of the property itself. You can see it's kind of wedged in between the remote Bellin parking lot on the west. And then the corner property is currently Gobin Auto or Gobin Cars. Across from that, there's some commercial. South side is mainly singles and 2s. There is an auto service facility on the corner as well to the south. So again, the applicant is proposing to acquire the 5 lots, to clear them, and put a display lot. I think you've seen that previously. The request for the zone change to the highway commercial district is consistent now with the comp plan. It is also consistent with the corner property, that expansion of the car lot. Aldermen, adjacent property owners, have all been notified. We have not received any comments or any requests for information. At this time, the staff is recommending approval of the zoning request for the rezone.
Thank you.
Are there people who want to speak on this?
Well,
And we'll just
just
suspend the
maybe.
rules to give Mr. Price.
okay, we have a motion and a second to suspend the rules. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Mike Dockery, did you wish to speak? Did you wish to speak?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
Thank you.
Brian Van Driel, you said no, or did you?
Not at this time.
Okay. Dan Goben?
Only if someone has a question.
Okay, thank you. Augustin Mercado? Okay. Did anybody wish to speak? No? Okay.
We can close the floor.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to close the floor. All in favor?
Aye.
Any further discussion?
Well, we had a lot of discussion on this when it came up before, and I don't think we need to repeat that. This is consistent with the comp plan, so I'll make a motion to approve the request.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Recommendation is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you. Short and sweet. Item 3, consideration with possible action on the request to authorize a conditional use permit for a single-family home within an office residential located at 159 North Maple, submitted by Mason Tackmeyer.
Thank you. So this property is located at the corner of North Maple and Hubbard Street, which is in our downtown area, but it is zoned office residential, and within that district, we do need a conditional use permit to authorize single-family homes there. So this is the same story that a lot of places downtown have, very big house to start, got chopped up somewhere along the way, and now someone's either looking to restore it or to keep it as a multifamily. In this case, the redevelopment authority had purchased this property when it's in foreclosure, and we had somebody recently purchase it from the city with the intention of making it a single-family home again. So the property itself will be used as a single-family home. It is on a pretty small lot, so they are going to the Board of Appeals to get a garage on the other side of this property. But beyond that, we have no concerns. This will be a pretty good fit with the neighborhood. There are a lot of multi-singles and two-families in the neighborhood, and it's in that mixed area. That's office residential. It's very close to downtown. So with that, we are recommending approval subject to our regular compliance with code that's not covered by the conditional use permit itself.
Thank you. Any discussion?
Did the new owners submit site plans at all, or like what they're doing to it? Because I know I went through there with Wendy when the city owned it, and it's a pretty incredible building, but all 3 floors are pretty rough.
Yeah, they've got a lot of work ahead of them. I don't know if the RDA received anything at the time of purchase, but the planning department has not.
Yeah, so there was a request for proposals put out. It was awarded to Mr. Tackmeyer for that. And basically, we'll be doing a renovation of the home, so keeping a lot of historical integrity intact. Again, it was in pretty rough shape, but fully utilizing all 3 floors. So, yeah, we look forward to getting it done. They did a similar project over on Porlier and Quincy.
Oh, I know, the great house.
Yep,
That was
correct.
like completely hidden by the trees,
Correct.
and now it's
Yep.
like beautiful and.
Yep,
okay.
same development team will be doing this.
That's exciting. This is also 4 blocks from my house, so everything's 4 blocks from my house.
Small city.
Yeah. Motion to approve?
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Do I hear a second?
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item 4. Consideration with possible action on the request for a variance from sections 14-724 of the subdivision and plating ordinance to allow for the creation of a flag-shaped lot at 1910 North Quincy Street, submitted by U.S. Venture.
Thank you. This property is a little bit less familiar to everybody. This is Grimby Packaging and U.S. Venture. So this is a very large parcel, almost 13 acres currently. They're looking to divide, and a portion of the division would go to Grimby Packaging for a building expansion that they're working on. So again, in the staff report is listed all the reasons why we are able to allow somebody to go for a hardship variance. This property itself is kind of the same story that almost all industrial properties have. It's very large, and then a road went through, and then we took a road out, and then we moved some stuff around, and now we're left with kind of a hodgepodge of things going on. So typically within the city, we don't allow for dual fronting parcels anymore, but they already have that existing frontage here on Webster Corner and then again on North Quincy. With the division itself, though, they're taking away a lot of that North Quincy right-of-way here to go to Lot 2. This will actually be combined with the lot that's to the south, and then that building expansion will go in this general area here. Some of this portion of this access will be used by Green Bay Packaging, but they're gonna have an easement over that area, which we're taking care of through the CSM itself. So with this, you know, this used to have a different type of frontage going on because it had the access on Quincy, Webster, and then also a road that used to go here, but now it's I-43. So they kind of are left with the rear facing that goes to I-43. There's no room for expansion. They can't really change the location or what they have to deal with that because they lost a lot of the ability to expand or divide out their lot with that highway going through. So with this, the vision that they're proposing, they're about 87 feet short of having their lot not be a flag-shaped lot. I believe that this qualifies for a hardship simply because they never created the lot like this in the first place. It was kind of given to them like this once the highway went through. But also they still have the dual frontage, so if something were to happen on one side, they still have the other side to contend with. And they will have an access easement over that property since they are working with their neighbors on this. The two property owners that are involved are the only two that are affected by this as well, and they are both, as part of this proposal, in support of this. So we are recommending approval of the request.
Thank you. Any discussion? We'll entertain a motion.
Move to approve.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to approve the recommendation. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Director's update.
Everything at the last Plan Commission meeting on the report was approved at council, including some resolutions. There were no ordinances up for third reading. Items on this will be going to the next meeting of council, which is actually Monday, April 2nd. We have elections April 3rd.
Okay, thank you.
Motion to adjourn?
Excuse me,
Yes.
since this is the information period, I had requested that David might bring us copies of materials that go along with this presentation from 2 weeks ago. I wonder if it's appropriate for him to distribute those.
Sure, that would be fine.
Thank you.
Thank you.
While he does that, I'll also let you know that we're in this room. Because
You are here.
We are.
we were able
I'm up on the
to
sixth floor here.
we were able to expedite our sixth floor remodel. We are remodeling the sixth floor in order to, if you've been up on sixth floor, you've noticed that most of the stuff is so original to this building. It hasn't been touched unlike other floors in this nice room. So for some safety and security reasons, there's a lot of issues we have upstairs in terms of locked access and privacy and things like that. So we're taking care of that. We're also improving the customer service area. So when you go into the main window, not only will that be financial transactions, but we'll extend that and we'll have the permit counter right there as well. So it'll be kind of one-stop shop. Also provide just offices so we can fit all of our floor on there now that we're community and economic development. Enough offices for us all. We'll flex room with that. And then some collaborative spaces for us to work. So we, right now, the counter has been relocated to 4th floor. So that's our temporary home for most of the public interface. And then we're split between 4th, 5th, and 6th in terms of our staff right now. So it'd be a little messy, but it goes a lot faster if we get totally off the floor for them to start working remodeling. So asbestos removal will hopefully start next week and then on to work for construction.
And
So-
Stephanie knows where to find the coffee pot, so that's taken care
Yes,
of.
yeah,
Good.
that was a big decision
biggest
of where to place them.
I wanted it in my office, but it's not allowed, there's only 2 of us, so.
When is the estimated time of completion?
August 1st is the deadline. Hopefully, if we get rolling, we'll be done before that. So far, we're out of schedule.
Okay, but in the meantime, we'll be meeting in here.
Correct.
Yep, all
Yep.
over here.
We're meeting here because protection and welfare is at 2:07, I believe, at 5 o'clock. So we'll be meeting in this room.
And once a month, HPC will be meeting before us, so we might be waiting sometimes if the HPC meetings go long, but they know they have to be out of here at 5:45, so.
Yeah, they know.
Good luck with that.
Well, I also run that one, so I'll just kick them out. We're done now. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.